I grew up with aphantasia. I've had it my entire life. The word imagination always meant something different to me than it does to people who can visualize. And so I remember the first time I heard somebody say aphantasia means you don't have an imagination. I was like, oh, hold on there. Now I have an imagination, right? Because I write stories and I'm very creative. And so how do you feel about that aspect of it? And what are your thoughts on those of us who kind of struggle with the definition of without imagination?
Yeah, so I agree with you entirely. We initially had it in mind that aphantasia was the absence of the mind's eye. It has turned out that probably most people with aphantasia also have weak sensory imagery and other sense modalities. You could define aphantasia as lack of the mind's eye. You could define it as a tendency to a lack of or reduction in sensory imagery more generally. Right. But I think sensory imagery is just one element in what we call imagination, which is a much wider capacity to detach ourselves from the here and now, recollect the past, anticipate the future, enjoy and create virtual worlds of one kind or another. And just as you imply, we now have many, many examples of highly imaginative, productive people who are aphantasic. So it's quite clear that this lack of or reduction in conscious sensory imagery is not a bar to being imaginative in that wider sense. So clearly it's possible to be aphantasic, yet imaginative and creative.